Hey guys, what's up? I wanted to come on here and talk to you guys for a little bit. I want to expand on my last video because I told you like I was dating people and I've come to some conclusions and I think they're really interesting, and I think the universe is really trying. Oh, I just got goosebumps when I was about to say that. The universe is really trying to teach me something / show me something. So I want to share my insights with you. So I have been dating this guy, not like exclusively, just dating. I don't really know how to use that word correctly. I don't know. I've never used the word dating except for like, oh, he's my boyfriend, like, but that's not what I mean. Like, we're not exclusive, but I'm just going on dates or just like hanging out type of thing. So I'm not talking to him anymore because of the reasons I'm going to tell you, but I want to give you the red flags. I want to tell you what I'm experiencing so that I can help you, so that you can help yourself see the red flags, because it is so powerful. And I'm basically this guy that I had been seeing for not even that long. Like, we've been on 3 dates, yeah, 3, and hung out 3 times, whatever. And he reminds me so much of my ex-boyfriend. And I think it takes a minute for those qualities to come out in someone. So on the 3rd time we hung out though, I was like, ooh, like I got like an icky feeling, right? So I want to share that with you. I want to share what he did and what the commonalities, is that whoa, look at me. Is that a word? I want to show you all of the things they have in common. Commonalities, that's a word, right? That my ex and this guy had. And then I also want to compare a situation that I had in Seattle to this, okay? So, okay, what do I start with? Do I start with the ex? Do I start with this one? Let's start with this one because I've talked a lot about my ex already, and I don't know, this one is also like fresh in my mind. So okay, first of all, the reason that I know all of this stuff is because after my first relationship, after my last relationship, I was like, there's something really different about this person. How did he trap me? Basically, it was like, what tactics did he use? And he was manipulative, you know? And I had a mentor for a while, and she had been through a similar situation, and she recommended me this book. And I read this book, and it is just, I haven't read all of it, but I really got into like the red flags. That's what I care about. It kind of makes me icky to read the stuff about like why they do it and stuff like that. So I haven't read the entire thing because I don't know. I just feel like I just don't want to know why they do it. I feel like I know, and I don't want to admit that someone like did that to me, right? I don't like knowing that people are actually evil, right? So I probably should read it. I feel like it would give me closure, but okay, that's besides the point. But it's called Psychopath Free by Jackson Mackenzie. If you want to read it, if you've ever been in a situation like this, but let me tell you what the situation is. So basically, the book talks about sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, all that kind of stuff. I think the type of person that I attract is a narcissist. I really think my ex is a narcissist. Again, that's just me from the outside. Sorry, burp. That's just me from the outside. Not even the outside, like being with him for 2 years, in close quarters with him for 2 years. And the reason I think that I attract narcissists is because my father is a narcissist. When I look at the traits that my ex has and the traits that my father has, I feel the same around them. I feel the same when I think about them. They do a lot of the same tactical things. And then the reason that I am starting to put the pieces together quickly with this other person that I was talking to, because I have had these situations and I'm like, okay, these are common themes that these people use to kind of like trap you in quickly, right? It's called love bombing. So what this person did, the recent one, is basically they make you feel, honestly, in a subtle way at first. So at first, he made me feel so comfortable. That's what I was talking about in the last video. So on the third date, I was like, whoa, like this is a completely different, like, you know, but made me feel so comfortable, asked me what I wanted. We met outside, like in public, and he knew that that was important to me. He got me to really open up. I felt so comfortable. I felt like it was chemistry, you know, and you can just like bounce off of someone. The reason you can bounce off of people like this and talk to them so easily is because they mutate. Like they literally do not have a personality. They take your personality or the bits and pieces, or they take the things that they can tell that you want and they become that. They mirror you. So conversation was so easy. For me, on my side, it felt like, wow, like he understands me. This is so cool. It was like a light bulb lit up in my body. And again, like it is vulnerable to share this because it's almost embarrassing, right? It's like, you've experienced this so much. Why do you keep, for me, like I'm really hard on myself. So it's like, why do you keep allowing these people into your life? But then again, I'm not, because this is the third date and I'm already like, okay, you're like that. So I cut them off, right? I think I don't trust myself. I was saying that in the last video too. I think I don't trust myself, but this proves to me that I should trust myself because I figured it out so early and nothing bad happened. Like nothing bad happened at all. I didn't sleep with him. I didn't give him anything, you know, besides however many like hours the dates add up to, right, of my life. But this is very useful for me. So there's nothing for me to be embarrassed about. This is just like me talking myself down, I guess. There's nothing for me to be embarrassed about. And that's to say, like, if you're in similar situations and you're trying to figure these things out too, there's nothing for you to be embarrassed about. Sorry if I look around a lot. That's how I talk, and it feels like if I stare into your soul, it feels so intimate and I'm scared. So, yeah, it's easier to talk when I'm like wandering, I guess. But okay, so what he did, he made me feel like I was special. He made me feel, and that's what my ex did too. And I didn't date my dad, obviously, but I'm sure that's what my dad did to my mom to get her to stay around. I was just there for the bad parts of him, so I never was really like sucked up in it. I really didn't like my dad from a very, very, very young age, I think because he had already tricked my mom by that point, and he was on the downhill of that. So with narcissists, it's like, okay, they love bomb you. They get you to open up. They get you to spill the beans. They get you to say everything about yourself, and they love bomb you. That's what love bombing is. It's like, you are so special. You are so amazing. I'm going to go after you, after you, after you. And you're not going to be able to say no to me. Like, let me have you. Like, you are so special. We have so much in common. This is a special type of love, right? And within however many days it takes the narcissist to, I mean, they say, I love you really, really, really early. They will make you out to be like this special thing that they've never experienced before. They're like, oh my God, I can't lose you because you're so cool, you're so special, you're so blah, blah, blah. That's love bombing. Making you feel like you've never felt before. And on the receiver's end, this has happened to me multiple times. On the receiver's end, it feels like, especially when you're insecure, it makes you feel like, oh my gosh, someone sees me for who I am. Someone, wow, this person, how can this person, in my brain, it's like, how can you love me already? It's like, wow, I can't let go of this because they love me already, blah, 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 right? That's how I felt with my ex, because he said, I love you really early, but they might say it in a way that's like, I love you, but I'm not going to say it. That's what he did. He would like string me along. Of course, like in the relationship, I had no fucking clue, right? I had no clue this was happening. I was so deep into it. And I never heard of that before. I never heard of like, what is a narcissist? Like I never heard of that before. So yeah, sorry, my chair is like creaky. So yeah, I don't know. In my brain, because this is what this guy was doing to me this time. He was like, you're so special, like you're so cool, we click, like use words like that, like, oh my gosh, like I've never had deep talks like this with someone. I've never, like comparing almost. And in my head this time, because I'm more like stepped outside of it, I'm not so desperate. With my last boyfriend, I was so desperate that I just wanted someone, right? I didn't know that, but looking back, I'm like, I just really didn't want to be alone. And now I don't care to be alone. Like, I don't care if I'm alone. I would rather be alone and happy than be with someone and be stressed out, right? So I'm very content being by myself now. So I think that's why I'm detached from the situation, and it's easier to see it. So I really would recommend not to date until you're at that point. If you have been, not even if you've been in a situation like that, I recommend not to date because it's dangerous. If you are desperate, if you are, you know, if you really, 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 really want a relationship, I encourage you to take time to be by yourself. And yeah, take time to be by yourself and fix that and get to a point where you're okay without a relationship. Like right now I'm at a point where it's like, I could date someone. Like that's why I'm going on dates. It's like, sure, like I could date someone, but I have this like wall up. I have this like, yeah, but they have to bring this to the table, right? Like they have to make me feel like this. Not even necessarily they have to make me feel like this, but they have to bring these things to the table. I'm not going to be the only one. Like I have standards now. I have things in my mind that are like, if I'm going to date someone, it has to be a person like XYZ, right? And if someone gives me less than that, peace out. Like that's really how I feel. So this guy was starting to make me feel like he was like love bombing me, right? Which gets your chemicals in your body, it gets you excited. Like it gets you like, oh my God, around this person I feel like this. And like he used more sexual things to like make you feel good. I don't know, that feels weird to say, but like he been around the block, right? So he knows what he's doing, and I didn't hook up with him, but just like the kissing and the like, I don't know, the admiring and the making you feel special and the making you feel like you're the only person in the world at that moment, right? And the way he would like touch me and the way he was kissing me and like wanting, like the things that he would say, it's hard to even explain it because it's so like, you just have to feel it. Like when it's so much passion. And women, I mean, I'm not even just women, people want passion, right? So that gets your chemicals all fired up. Like when we would kiss, he would like say certain things, which is like hot. Like it's like great, amazing. I understand. I see how you get these girls in here. I see how you trick these girls. I see it. And like you're doing, like, I'm like, you're good at manipulating people. Like, if I didn't know these things, I would be sucked in too. And it's like almost props to them, not in a good way, but it's just like almost props to them because they've learned so well how to do these things. And I'm impressed almost. Like, it is so crazy that someone can be so, just spend their entire life learning how to do this to people. It's insane. So like, we would honestly, it's crazy. Honestly, one of the best sexual experiences I've ever had was with this person that I had been on 3 dates with, which is, and we didn't even fuck. We didn't even, it was all just like making out and stuff like that, right? And like one of the best sexual experiences I've ever had. And I think that's what he uses to like get girls in, because I mean, girls say this all the time, right? Like, guys don't really know what they're doing. So I think he took that and really learned how to make girls feel good, so that keeps them around, right? Like, he cannot give them attention when they leave, but they're always going to want to come back because no other guy can make the girl feel like that, right? Because he's learned what to do and what turns girls on and all that stuff. So one of the best sexual experiences I've ever had, and we didn't even have sex, right? Which is impressive. And like, I feel like I'm like flattering that type of person's ego for this, but it's like, it is impressive. And that's why it's almost mechanical, right? It's almost like this person, these people, this type of person, they aren't, I want to say they aren't human. Like, they don't feel like we do, right? They don't get the red flags. They don't care. They are there to experience and discard. Experience, discard. So in the moment, so like whenever I was seeing this guy, I would feel so honestly loved, so much admiration. I literally told him, I was like, this is the most attention I've ever gotten in my life, which was like a red flag. I didn't tell him it was a red flag, but I was like, this is almost the most attention I've ever gotten in my life. And it's weird that you're giving this to me. I didn't say this, but in my head, it's like, I'm keeping tally marks, right? It's like, this is the most attention I've ever had in my life, and I just met you. Like, that's a red flag. And I was keeping that tally mark in the back of my mind. I didn't tell him any of this. I was like, wow, like, this is so much attention, like, stuff like that. But I didn't say what I was thinking, right? Don't let them in on don't let them in. And that's why it's important when you're dating to kind of spread out what you tell people. Like, don't give your life story on the first date. Don't give your life story on the fourth date, right? Allow people to break you open and earn that trust. Allow people to ask you questions and only say what you're comfortable with, right? Like, you don't have to, if you've been molested and you, again, my life is online, so it's a little bit harder to like keep it a secret, but if you've been molested and that is something that is a huge trigger for you and sex is really hard for you, don't say that. Don't like give people warnings, you know? Like, with your right person, you're not gonna have to give someone a warning. You're not gonna have to say, hey, I had this happen to me, blah, 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 blah. Insert your story. I had this happen to me, and for that reason, I might act X, Y, and Z. You're not gonna have to give an explanation. Like, the situation will just happen, and then you'll feel your feelings, and the person will be curious as to why that happened, and if you're ready to share, then you share, right? And even like, if you're about to get intimate and you're like wanting to tell them like, hey, I don't know how this is gonna go for me. I don't really want to explain to you why, but I want you to know if something happens, it's, you know, it's valid, right? It's just because I've been through some shit. Like, be vague. Don't like, because people will use these types of people will use your trauma to create more trauma, right? And to gain your trust in a way that they can like get their foot in the door. So yeah, so this guy just made me feel like I was the only girl in the world. And then, okay, but then they don't really, but okay, make me feel like the only girl in the world. But then as soon as I would leave, no texts, very dry over text, very much like, in my head, it was like, okay, if you really felt all those things that you were saying in person, you would continue to give me attention when I left, right? And so that was another tally mark in the back of my head. And it was just like, okay, like I'm detached from the situation, so it's okay. I'm just keeping tally marks. But it's like, I would think that if you felt like this, you would never want to stop talking to this person, right? Like if you had all these feelings that you were feeling, you wouldn't be able to stop talking to that person. You wouldn't be able to ignore them. You wouldn't be able to leave them on read. You wouldn't want to, right? You would want to be in constant communication because you're obsessed with that person. You're feeling like that, right? So, and I'm not saying like being obsessed with someone is a good way to start off. I'm just saying comparing what he says with his actions, right? And I think that's really important with dating, is look at their actions, not their words. And that's something I used to get caught up in, is like, oh, they're telling me all these beautiful things and I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, right? But you have to look at their actions and not their words, because people can say things all they want. They can come up with a script of what to say to every single girl. So it's not genuine. I'm not saying no one's genuine, but I'm saying like it can not be genuine. Not everyone is genuine, right? So that was another tally mark in the back of my head of like, okay, well, his words aren't matching up with his action. And then I didn't catch this till the third date though. I'm looking back, but I definitely did have tally marks in the back of my head. I didn't have the word narcissist. Like I wasn't looking for like, is this person a narcissist? Because I'm trying to trust people, right? I'm not gonna, if I hyper analyze, is that the word? If I hyper analyze every single person, I'm gonna think everybody is a narcissist. I'm gonna think everyone's out to get me, right? So I don't go into dates having my book of red flags out. I don't do that, right? When something starts feeling off, then I will come back to the tools in my tool belt and I will be like, okay, what is making me feel icky? What is making me feel off? Like what in this situation doesn't feel right? I don't recommend going to every situation with your book of red flags and being like, they do this, they do this, they do this, because if you focus on the negatives of people, you're never going to see the positives in people. So that's where I've learned to, I guess I do kind of trust myself. I don't know, learn to trust myself and be like, this, I'm going to throw my heart out here, right? Like I'm going to try. But when I start feeling icky, I'm going to tame it back and I'm going to cut people off, because that is the smart thing to do. I have to protect my heart. I have to preserve myself more than anything else, right? So the second date, again, they gradually make you feel more comfortable, so your boundaries are kind of crossed a little bit. I didn't tell him this, but I'm not comfortable going to people's apartments. I'm not comfortable. It feels like we get too close too fast when you like go to people's apartments or like go to their house or whatever. So I like to meet in public, which is really valid. I encourage that. I like to meet in public. So yeah, that's what we did at first. Then on the second date, I'm just gonna be completely honest. On the second date, we did the same thing. We hung out at the same place. And at first, okay, we went to the lake. The lake is beautiful, romantic, sat by the lake, and just talked, you know, and those vibes. I love the lake, right? And then he took me to his rooftop deck, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is kind of romantic. This is kind of cool. Like I am really enjoying this. And then I think that was to just get me closer to his apartment, so that if I got turned on, if I got like, okay, like let's go to your house, like, you know, like, and so on the second date, we went up to his rooftop. We did the first time too, but we went up to his rooftop and things were getting frisky. Things were getting spicy out here. And he just like slipped in. He's like, we can go to my room if you want to. And I didn't have my guard up. I didn't have my guard up of like, I wasn't thinking about my boundaries. I wasn't thinking about like, oh, this person's out to get me, right? Like I was just in the moment. I was like, this is so fun. Like, yes, let's go. Like, sure. And so we did, and nothing got far. Like we just made out and like, you know, like foreplay stuff. Like no clothes came off, nothing like that, because I'm very specific with that. Like I do not fuck people, because if I fuck people, I will get attached and I will not see the red flag. So that's like a self-preservation type of thing. Yeah, if I fuck someone, I will not see the red flags. I'll just let them go right over my head. So that is a self-preservation thing. So yeah, we just like made out and stuff like that. And we hung out for a long time because conversation like really flowed. Again, like I really recommend, this is also me learning from my mistakes. I did have a good time. Like I'm not saying I didn't have a good time. But you have to be able to separate yourself from that good time and be like, okay, yes, I can continue to have a good time with this person, but the attention is gonna get less and less and less and less, because that is the type of person that he is. And I know for 100% fact, because I see it now. If you've been through a situation like this, you learn to have like goggles, like you can see through it. And if you haven't been in a situation like this, like you just don't see it until you have lived it, right? And I lived it for 2 years, and I lived it as a child because I had, you know, my father was like that. And then I had that relationship for 2 years. So I lived it. I have lived it. So it's hard to explain how you know, but you just know. And I'm giving you the red flags, but still, like, it's still feelings. Like, you will feel things. Like, I use the word icky because I don't know. That's like the only word that I can think of. It's like you feel gross, you feel icky, like you have these feelings in your tummy that's like, ooh, this isn't right. this ain't right. But yeah, and so yeah. And then the third time I came over, the second time I really enjoyed myself. Like I was like, I want to see you again. In my head, I was like, I want to see him again. And honestly, when I would like come home to go to sleep, I would just be thinking about him. And that's because the chemicals and the trauma is all stirred up, right? Because you're getting all this attention and it's like, oh my God, I don't want to lose this. But it's hard to identify that. And then the third time, I kind of was like, okay, maybe we're seeing each other too much. Again, that was a tally mark in the back of my head. I didn't say any of this. But I was feeling like, okay, maybe we're seeing each other too much, but I'm gonna go and see what happens, because I know I would rather get this over with sooner than later. So I don't want to drag this on, right? So the third date was kind of like a test run to see, to see how it would go down, I suppose. So I went, and everything was sexual the whole time. We went to his apartment at first, and again, sorry, burping. Again, that's like, that was on me because I didn't say like, oh, let's continue like outside stuff. Like, let's not go to your apartment. I didn't say that because I don't think I knew that was like, I think I knew that was a boundary, but I was like, maybe it could just be okay. You know, you like push your boundaries a little bit, right? So yeah, we went to his apartment. I was feeling uncomfortable. as soon as I like went in there. But I just kept telling myself like, oh, maybe it's okay. Maybe this is just because you've been through so much trauma and you're like scared, right? And if you have to convince yourself of something, that's not your intuition. My intuition was the feelings that I was feeling. My intuition was the ick feeling, like, oh, I don't really want to be here. That was my intuition. But I convinced myself that that was me being dramatic, right? So sorry, my chair is so freaking loud. So that was me convincing myself. So I stayed. We continued like making out on and off, but I was feeling icky, but like I would feel turned on, and then I would like get away from it, and then I would feel icky when I wasn't feeling those intense like chemical emotions, right? Of like being turned on. And when I wasn't feeling turned on, I was feeling icky. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna feel turned on. He's good at this. Like, of course I'm gonna feel turned on. But in my head, it was like, okay, but you're feeling icky when you pull away. Like, you feel icky. And it's like, you can tell that with people like this, they have like 3 emotions. They either deep ass conversations, sex, in this specific situation. Deep ass conversation, sex, boredom. So if I wasn't giving him sexual type things, if I wasn't like entertaining him in that way, he would be bored. And like be on his phone, or be like, we're not really doing anything. Like he said that on the 3rd day, he's like, we're just sitting here, we're just not doing anything. I would rather just like keep kissing. I would rather just like keep like whatever. And that made me like, ew, like that's gross. Like I don't want that, right? And that was like a red flag. And I ended up leaving because the ick feeling was just so extreme. So I ended up leaving. Afterwards, like we texted a little bit, but very dry. Like I said, like every time I left his house, it was very dry over text. And again, like if you're building someone up this much in person, like you would do the same over text, right? You would want to talk to them. If the feelings that he was expressing are so intense, that's something you can't turn off, right? And it's literally impossible to feel like that about someone right off the bat, first of all. So like keep that in mind, like if you're in situations like this. Sorry, like I'm not emotional. It's just my nose is like clogged as fuck. I don't know why. But yeah, look at their actions. But that is a very similar situation to how I got in the relationship with my ex. He was very sexual at first, and I didn't have those boundaries at that time. I didn't have the boundaries of like, I'm not gonna fuck you type of thing, because I didn't know enough about myself at the time. So I mean, stuff got sexual really quickly, and he was really good at that. And I'm a sexual person, so when someone makes me feel like that, I lose all sense. Like I am Scorpio, Venus, Lilith, and Scorpio Sun. I will lose everything, bro. Like I am impressed by things like that. I don't know. So my ex did that too, and that's why things got so deep so quick with him. Because with women, like, I mean, I'll speak for myself, but I also want to say, like, with females, when you fuck someone, like, there is an emotional tie there, and it feels like, okay, I already did this, so I should keep trying. I should keep trying. Like, what's going on? I should keep trying. Not COVID. Don't get weird. The weather's been changing a lot. I think it's just allergies, and the window's open, or the door's open. But yeah, you get cords to people, so it's like you just want to try over and over and over. You just want to try, and you give them the benefit of the doubt of like, oh, maybe they didn't mean this, or maybe they meant it like this, or maybe they have been through a lot and I should just try to understand them. Like, that was, like, with my ex, that was a huge thing of, like, I've been through so much, like, I don't know how to handle my emotions. That's why I get so mad. That's why I beat you, because because my mom hurt me as a child. And, like, they bring that stuff up a lot. And you, as a normal person, are empathetic. They don't feel that. They just use that as a tactic. Which I'm sure narcissism comes from some sort of trauma, and I feel that, but that doesn't give you a right to do it to everyone you come into contact with. And literally ruin people's lives. But, yeah, they will use that as well, and this guy kind of used that as well, and that was another tally mark in the back of my head, of like, oh, like, yes, people go through trauma, but they're not gonna, like, use that. Like, they're not gonna use that to have an excuse for something. I don't know. My ex did that a lot, and then this guy and my dad, oh my god, like, he literally is like, I've been through, oh my god, if you correct him on anything, he's like, well, this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this happened to me. You don't understand. Like, that's how my dad is, because he's a narcissist, and he's gotten, you would think they would get better with time, but he's kind of awful at being a narcissist. I don't think time has anything to do with it. I don't know if I've just seen through it so much that it's like, okay, you are such a fucking, like, what? Like, I can clearly see through it. I don't know. I think he's getting worse with time, where he just doesn't care anymore. He's like, if people know I'm this, okay. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like, cool. Sorry. I feel like my ex, I don't know if I feel like he's like Voldemort. Like, I feel like I can't say his name. I don't know. My ex. I feel like he was quite good at it. But I feel like the longer you're around people, the more you see it, and the more you're like, okay, this is all bullshit, bro. Like, all this is fake. And it's hard to admit that. It's hard to admit that, like, I was with someone for 2 years and it was all fake on their end. They feel the highs, they feel the lows, but they don't feel it like you feel it. With me, that shit tore me up. Like, that shit, like, was up, down, up, down. I was chaotic. I was feeling all these different emotions, but he liked the highs. He liked the lows. It didn't feel high and low to him. It was just all a high because he wanted something extreme, because that's what narcissists want. They just want to feel something. They just want to feel anything. And they don't really have empathy. They don't really feel for someone. They don't have compassion. So all the ups and downs and the, like, the confusing things that I was feeling in the relationship, and, like, that I would feel with my dad and that I would feel with other people, they don't feel those things. They feel happy, bored, annoyed, because you're not giving them what they want. Like, that is just gist of what they feel. And of course, like, I think the prototype, the archetype is the same. And, like, they use similar tactics. They all have the same goal, right? But they do it differently, and they mirror you. If I put all these people in a room with me, they all have similar, it's mechanical, like, they all have the same tactics, and that's how you can easily, like, point them out. But yeah. Sorry I was, like, burpy in this video. I don't know, I have a lot of air going on, and then I got my nose thing, I don't know. But I just wanted to share this. I'm feeling empowered. I think after you go through a situation like that, I've been single for almost a year. It will be a year in May. It'll be a year on May 4th, which is, like, so fun, so cool. I think when you don't date, you're kind of like, am I gonna be able to do this? Am I gonna be able to figure out if people are good or bad? Am I going to be able to know these things? And I feel really empowered because I'm starting to date and I'm able to pick out people. I'm able to see the signs, you know, and it's just really cool. Because in the last video, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see the signs or not, but you do. And I think the universe just is trying to prove to me that I do know. Is trying to show me, like, you've got this. Like, you don't have to doubt everything so much. Like, you've got this. And it's kind of like putting all my work into action. Like, it's like proof that, yes, I've done all this inner work, but sometimes you do the inner work and you feel like nothing is really changing because it's all changing in here. So it's like on the outside, things are the same. But, yeah, you're always wondering, like, are things on the outside going to change? Am I going to be able to do this? It's like a test of, am I going to be able to do this, or am I going to fold? Am I going to be able to do this, or am I going to get in a relationship like that again? You know, but that will never happen to me again. I know that for 100% fact. I will never, ever, ever, ever be in a relationship like that again, because I have learned. And I don't know, I hope this helped. And if you're going through a similar situation, just know that everything is gonna work out. I know, like, at the beginning, I didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear that everything was gonna work out. All I wanted was to be with him, like my ex, because it gave me a high. And that's why I went back so many times. That's why I kept talking to him. That's why all this stuff, it gives you a high. Like, it gives you endorphins. It gives you so many good feeling chemicals in your body that you ignore everything, because when it feels good, it feels really fucking good. But when it feels bad, it feels really fucking bad too. And you kind of like when it feels bad because you're feeling something, and you like when it feels good because you're feeling something, right? But yeah, a normal relationship will feel normal. A normal relationship will not disrupt your life. A normal relationship will not feel like your entire life is about the relationship. You keep your individuality. And it might feel boring at first, because especially if you're like me and you've been in situations like this, sorry, I have to like not a text, but a notification. Yeah, you might feel like, oh, this is boring because because I'm so used to the highs and the lows and the love bombing and the all of this. So it's like, is this gonna go anywhere? Because you never know, right? But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you're enjoying the uncut videos. This makes me want to do YouTube more because I don't have to sit down and edit. And I'm just talking off the cuff, and I love that. I know it's like, I hope it feels like a FaceTime call to you, because that's what it feels like to me, except you can't reply, but you can in the comments. I would love to hear. And it's like raw because I'm sniffling, I'm burping, I'm like whatever, and you don't cut it out. I don't know. I really enjoy it. I hope you're enjoying it. If you want more of me, subscribe to my OnlyFans. It's onlyfans.com/xmichaelafans. I always forget to change the bio or change the description. I'll do that soon, hopefully. And follow my Instagram if you don't already. I know a lot of you guys do already, but if you don't, it's Michaela Renee with 3 E's at the end. So MichaelaReneee. Like, I'm like, how do you spell my own name? That's always so complicated. And subscribe here if you haven't already. Like this video if you haven't already. It helps me, and more people will see this if you do that. More people will see this if you comment on this. And I don't know, I love building our community, so it's super cool if you want to do that. But if not, I understand, and that's fine. Yeah, but I love you guys. I will see you next time.